Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Mic Drop. I'm here with Will and Nisha as always, and we're going to talk about whatever's been on our mind in music this week. Today is Trans Visibility Awareness Day, so I think Nisha's going to start off with a little bit to say about Sophie, the producer.
Yeah, so I have been recently been listening to a lot of music I used to listen to back in 2018, 2019, 2020, and a lot of it was hyperpop. I'm a big hyperpop fan, and I kind of just went back to sort of the roots, and Sophie was such like a monumental producer, musician in that space. And I just thought it was the perfect day to sort of pay homage to her. Um she worked with a lot of like incredible musicians. Charlie XCX was very close to Sophie. Like the Vroom Vroom EP was almost entirely produced by Sophie, or she had something to do with it. Vince Staples worked with her as well. Rihanna worked with her a bit, but I think those songs might be unreleased. Um, but yeah, I think she's just such an important musician, and I'm seeing recently, and I'm a little bit kind of about it, is one of her songs has gone quite viral on TikTok. But people are being kind of mean about it. They're saying there's one portion of the song that they're like, I wish the rest of the song sounded like this. And I'm just kind of like, well, maybe look at it as a whole, and the fact it's monumental, and it is, she was a pioneer for the hyperpop and that kind of electronic music genre. So that kind of rubs me a bit the wrong way a little bit when people are like, "Oh, it's crap." Oh, and targeted it as like house music. I'm like, it's not. um, but I just think, yeah, I've just been thinking a lot about her, and I think if she was around today, she was she would have had such an incredible career, and I think it's really tragic that we did lose her in an accident. Um, but yeah, I just think paying homage to her and her incredible discography. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a great day to do that. And I think you've brought up a really good point there that we talked about before, but about how TikTok can just so take things out of context. And, it's a day that we really should be looking at artists like this and building them up, not focusing on one tiny bit of their music that we're maybe not as big of a fan of. Will, I don't know if this is someone you've heard of before, because I personally haven't been aware of her name at all.
I've certainly heard her name. I've heard a lot of interviews, like Nisha mentioned Charlie XCX, and Charlie speaks very fondly and very well of Sophie, and almost her lasting impact on Charlie's music as well as Sophie's own. So obviously we've lost Sophie so soon into her career, and she could have achieved so many things, but she will still have a lasting impact on the entire industry, no matter what, because she's influenced so many things that like bigger artists, Charlie. So she's like, apologies. Um, she's had such a massive impact that even though she's still not around, her effects are still felt throughout the entire industry.
I think, yeah, that's a really great thing to point out. I think producers in particular, you get your big names every now and then, like Mark Ronson, but quite often, even though they are such big parts of the music, their names go a bit obscured. So it's always nice when they get highlighted on days like this. Nisha, I don't know if you've got any particular favourites of hers, or are you just a big fan in general?
I'm just a big fan in general. I think I'm a big Charlie XCX fan, and like Will said, Charlie still speaks about her so highly, because she was that kind of pioneer, and even in music today, even though she's not around, you can still hear her influence. Um, but I think just like checking out, if you're into like the hyper pop kind of very electronic style, just checking out kind of her music, because she kind of did that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like she almost set like this foundation for
Mm.
hyperpop, and it's grown massively over the past couple of years. So for people to like on TikTok to almost disrespect it, you got to look at it as the whole because this is this person's career. They've dedicated their life to this and set foundations for hyperpop to excel.
Definitely, and hyperpop is such a producer-driven genre as well. It's almost like the people performing it, to some extent, they're just like the front of it, whereas the producer can absolutely change how hyperpop's like sounds all the way through, really. And whilst we're in this pop kind of realm, what I wanted to talk about this week is this new influence we're hearing of classical music in pop. What got me thinking about it is this new Raye album. I was listening to, I think it's called Click Clack Symphony. And I had mixed feelings about it when I first listened. This seems to be what I'm saying about all music at the moment. I don't know if I'm just in a negative mindset, but I heard it and I was like, I don't know if I like it or not. And the reason I wasn't sure is because this single, Hans Zimmer wrote a lot of the music for it. And I was listening and I was like, I don't know if this is anything new. Like, it feels like he's throwing out like his most basic things and just using that as a bit of a just generic string background. But I said that, and now I think I've listened to that song every single day since. It's really, really grown on me. And it got me thinking as well about, because obviously Rosalie has just released this massive album where she's used the London Symphony Orchestra, and it's written quite like an opera, like she's admitted that herself. And it's just got me thinking, because at first I was a bit resistant to it. I was like, I don't really understand why we're taking this big genre and kind of simplifying it down. But then I thought, actually, it's creating these really cool, new, interesting sounds. And I was putting it into context of like Billie Eilish. Like, she uses a lot of jazz chords, and I'm not hating on her for using jazz chords and not writing jazz. So I thought, actually, I think I'm on my high horse here, and it's a great song. So that was kind of my revelation of this week. I don't know if you two have got any songs that are inspired by classical music or feature strings or anything like that that you've been particularly into.
I think when I kind of think of like the classical side of modern music, I automatically think of covers that I really enjoy to watch and listen to. And it's oftentimes they take like a rap song or like a grime song or a drill song and they turn it into like a piano song. And I absolutely love that. I think it's the most beautiful thing. Or I see a lot of harp covers as well, and they are just magical. So that's kind of what I think of. I don't know what songs that I listen to might have that classical influence, but that's just kind of what I thought of these like incredible, like really like emotional covers on piano or harp.
Yeah, I completely agree with Nisha on that. Like, almost this genre bending of like the mix of pop and classical music. My mind just immediately went to Berghain by Rosalia, and hearing that live when she performed at the Brits, but also just having the live orchestra she has it at her concerts on her ongoing tour. And people may be like, why are we bringing these older elements of classical music and jazz? But then recently you look at comments by Timothy Chalamet saying like, why do we need the opera? Why do we need the ballet? Yet it's still proven to prevail in genre bending and almost creating a new genre within itself, like these little pockets of pop, mixing in these older elements with the new and like see what we get. I think that's just an amazing thing that artists are doing. They're exploring so much more and finding what they want to do to be able to just create new pockets and create new music for fans to enjoy.
Absolutely. And I think probably my hesitation when I first heard it was just because it's something that has come about recently. Like, it's not something that I think we've seen much of in like the past 10 years. So I think it just surprised me, like this new sound, but there's no reason why the classical side of things should be taken off the cards when musicians are experimenting. Like, I would never have an issue, as I said, if it was jazz or R&B or like rap influences. So I just think I'm quite excited now to hear where this new sound goes. And talking of excitement, Will, with the weather getting a bit warmer, I know you're wanting to bring us into the festival scene a bit. So what have you got to say this week?
So obviously in the UK, we've just hit British summertime. It's much better times. We'll be getting brighter nights and hopefully brighter days in music. So some of the big festivals that you might not have heard of, obviously Glastonbury is not on this year because they are protecting the environment and the field that they're on. But there's still others to look out for. We have Tramlines in Sheffield, which will feature Wet Leg, Kaiser Chiefs, and Fatboy Slim. Forwards in Bristol with always comes at the end of August, and back on that Glastonbury note of protecting the field. they're very much eco-conscious because festivals can be very damaging to the environment with a lot of people leaving waste, their tents, and overall it's a massive cleanup for people to do. But with Forwards being very eco-conscious, I think it's quite amazing, and we'll probably see a lot of festivals move in this kind of direction because the environment's very much at the forefront nowadays. We are slowly and slowly destroying it. So I think to have the eco-conscious and our forwards will see Lord making a Bristol debut as that goes on the Friday. Then we'll see Thames and Little Sims. And I kind of thought of some recent news that came out. Ye will be at Wireless for 3 nights, making his return after 11 years. But I kind of wanted to focus more on the structure of Wireless because I think they do things very differently of having the same headliner over the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Last year they done this with Drake. I was just wondering what your guys' thought is on just having the same person headline over and over and over again rather than have 3 separate headliners if you were to attend a festival like that.
I think I'd enjoy it as a novelty, but I wouldn't want every festival to become like that. I think I can see what the benefits of it would be. I think it'd be nice if you love that artist, like getting 3 performances of her own, then would just be a dream come true. And obviously you'd see, even if they did like very similar sets, you'd see it slightly different each day because that's like the beauty of live music, it's never quite the same. But I do think, part of the joy of a festival is getting to experience all kinds of new music. And I think that's a really big thing with headliners as well. You end up going to bands that you might not be a fan of and really, really loving it. I know last year I saw Sam Fender at a festival, and he's not the kind of guy I'd ever choose to go see, but I had a great time. And I think you maybe miss out a bit on that variety if you're having just the same act again and again. I don't know what you think about it, Nisha.
See, I think it would deter me from a festival, and it would definitely, I think, I think I would look at getting a day ticket if there was the same artist 3 days in a row sort of headlining, because I don't know, do I want to go watch the same set 3 times in a row? Probably not, even if I'm a huge fan of someone. So I think maybe it might be a bit sort of more better for the consumer that they wouldn't have to get a full weekend ticket if they want to see just one artist. But I think it's a bit silly. I think I think a festival is sort of supposed to be a stage for all these musicians and give everyone a platform to like play their music, and having the same artist 3 times in a row, I just think it's kind of like, why? I don't really get it.
I'm not really sure like what the marketing tactic is there either, because surely it just narrows the field of people that'd be interested in going. I don't know if it's maybe to try target the day like trip people more, or I can't really think what the motivation would be.
I don't really know myself, but obviously I think with this year I think they're heavily relying on the fact that it's Kanye and he's not been in the UK. So a lot of people are going to be trying to see him even despite everything that's happened over the past couple of years. It's just the fact that it's a massive name and he's headlining 3 nights. I'm not too sure. That is the only reasoning for me. Because obviously they done it last year with Drake, and I think it was a couple of years since he came to the UK and he had his tour afterwards. But I really don't see the vision. Because if I when I go to a festival, I'd want to see as many different people that typically I wouldn't pay for a concert ticket. In terms of headliners, I wouldn't pay for a concert ticket, but I still have the chance to see them there based on if I want to go or not. It just gives you that kind of freedom. Whereas this doesn't really allow it and kind of overshadows the rest of the head of the lineup.
I think that's a really fair point, and I don't think that's a particularly unique opinion as well. I bet a lot of people will be sharing that. And speaking of festivals, have either of you two got any coming up this summer?
Sadly, I do not. But
I currently don't, but Sunderland, which is where I am, they have the BBC Big Weekend, and I'm really considering getting a day ticket, purely just for Zara Larsson, to be honest. Because it's quite an affordable festival, and I'm kind of like, it's down the road for me. Like, I'll get FOMO if I don't. So I'm considering it, but I don't have any booked in for the moment.
I would really recommend BBC Big Weekend. It was in Liverpool last year, and I just think even if you're not going for this specific bands, just the atmosphere of it being somewhere that's special to you makes it worth it.
Yeah.
So and I think that's probably a good note to end it. Make sure to check out our website where you'll see a summary of this video along with lots of other articles about what's been going on this week in music. And we'll see you all next week. See you later, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.